They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But let me tell you something. Success tastes even better when it's served on a silver platter, while the people who betrayed you are drowning in their own mistakes. My name is Caroline Mitchell, and at 67 years old, my husband of 42 years walked out of our home, our marriage, and our life together. His destination? The bed of the woman I called my best friend for nearly 3 decades. 6 months later, I watched through tears as they exchanged vows at a courthouse wedding I learned about through Facebook. But here's what they didn't see coming. Here's what nobody saw coming, including me. Today, 5 years later, I'm sitting in my lakefront home, not the cramped 2-bedroom ranch David and I shared, but a custom-built contemporary with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. My business partner? Pamela's ex-husband, Richard. Our company? Worth $8.3 million and growing. And David and Pamela? Well, they're discovering that building a marriage on betrayal creates a foundation about as stable as quicksand. This is my story. And if you're going through something similar, or if you've ever felt like your life was over when someone walked away, I need you to hear every word, because what happened to me could happen to you in the best possible way. Let me take you back to where this all began. It was September 2019. I had just turned 67, and David was 68. We'd been married since I was 25 years old, a lifetime together. We'd raised 3 children in our modest home in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'd worked as a school secretary for 30 years before retiring at 62. David had been an accountant at a local manufacturing firm. We weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable. At least, I thought we were. Pamela Jennings had been my best friend since 1992. We met at a PTA meeting when our daughters were in 3rd grade together. She was vibrant, funny, and always dressed like she'd stepped out of a Talbot's catalog. Her husband Richard ran a small commercial printing business, the kind that made business cards, brochures, and promotional materials. Pamela herself was a real estate agent, though she was semi-retired by the time all of this happened. The 4 of us, David, Pamela, Richard, and I, we were inseparable. Friday night dinners, vacation trips to Door County, Wisconsin, holiday parties. Our kids grew up together. We celebrated anniversaries together. We were there for each other through Richard's father's death, through my mother's battle with breast cancer, through David's knee replacement surgery. I trusted these people with my life. That's what makes betrayal so devastating, isn't it? It's not just the act itself, it's the shattering of everything you believe to be true. The first crack in my reality came on a Tuesday evening in September. David said he was going to Home Depot to pick up some supplies for a shelf he was building in the garage. Nothing unusual. He'd been doing little projects around the house since retirement, but something made me glance at his iPad on the kitchen counter before he left. It was still open to his messages. I wasn't snooping. I want to be clear about that. The screen was lit up, and I saw a message notification from P that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight, my love." My love. My hands went cold. My heart started hammering in my chest so hard I thought I might pass out. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a spam message, maybe a wrong number. But I knew David's contacts. P was Pamela. I'd seen it 100 times when she texted him about dinner plans or when they were coordinating our get-togethers. David came back into the kitchen. He'd forgotten his wallet. He saw me standing there, saw his iPad in my hands, and the color drained from his face. Caroline, I can explain. Those 4 words, every betrayed spouse has heard them, and they're always followed by explanations that explain nothing and excuse everything. He confessed right there in our kitchen, standing by the refrigerator where we'd hung our grandchildren's drawings with magnets. He'd been having an affair with Pamela for 8 months. It had started, he claimed, innocently enough. Pamela had been having problems with Richard. She needed someone to talk to. David was there. One thing led to another. One thing led to another. As if a decades-long friendship and a 42-year marriage could dissolve because of happenstance. as if vows and loyalty were just suggestions that could be abandoned when one thing led to another. I asked him if Richard knew. He said no. I asked him if he loved her. He hesitated, and in that hesitation, I saw the truth. He did, or at least he thought he did. I asked him if he wanted a divorce. He said yes. Just like that. Yes. No fight for our marriage. No counseling. No attempt to repair what he'd broken. Just yes. He moved out 3 days later, packed his clothes, his golf clubs, his collection of old vinyl records, and left. 42 years, reduced to boxes in the back of a U-Haul truck. The next 2 weeks were the darkest of my life. I barely ate. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. reaching for him, forgetting for just a moment that he was gone. Then reality would crash over me like a wave, and I'd lie there in the dark, wondering what I'd done wrong, wondering if I'd been boring, if I'd let myself go, if I'd been a bad wife. My daughter Jennifer came to stay with me. She was furious with her father, but I could see the pain in her eyes too. Her family was breaking apart. Her father had done something unthinkable. "Mom, you need to tell Richard," she said to me one morning over coffee. I'd thought about it. God, had I thought about it. But the idea of making that phone call, of telling a man I'd known for nearly 30 years that his wife was sleeping with my husband, it felt impossible. How do you find those words? But Jennifer was right. Richard deserved to know. I called him on a Sunday afternoon. He answered cheerfully, asking if Pamela and I wanted to come over for dinner that week like we usually did. "Richard," I said, my voice shaking, "I need to tell you something, and it's going to hurt. David and Pamela are having an affair." The silence on the other end of the line lasted so long I thought the call had dropped. "Richard, are you there?" "How long?" His voice was hollow. "David says 8 months. I just found out 2 weeks ago." 8 months. He repeated it like he was trying to make sense of a foreign language. 8 months, and I had no idea. Caroline, I had absolutely no idea. We talked for an hour. Richard told me that Pamela had been distant lately, but he'd attributed it to stress with work. She'd been taking more evening appointments with clients. She'd joined a gym and was gone for hours at a time. All the cliches of an affair, and he'd missed every single one. He confronted her that night. She didn't deny it. From what Richard told me later, she'd actually seemed relieved to have it out in the open. She wanted a divorce, too. She was in love with David. They were going to build a life together. I felt sick, not just for myself, but for Richard. 2 marriages destroyed. 2 families fractured. And for what? For some fantasy of new love in their late 60s? The divorce proceedings were brutal in their efficiency. David wanted it done quickly. I didn't fight him. What was the point? You can't force someone to love you. You can't chain someone to a marriage they're desperate to leave. We divided our assets. The house went to me. He didn't want it anyway, he said. Too many memories. Our retirement accounts were split. 42 years, neatly divided into columns on a spreadsheet. Richard's divorce was equally swift. Pamela was eager to move forward with her new life. 6 months after David walked out of our kitchen with his confession, he and Pamela got married. A small courthouse ceremony. I found out about it when my friend Linda sent me a screenshot from Facebook. Pamela had posted a photo of them signing the marriage license, both of them grinning like teenagers. "Beginning our new adventure together," the caption read, followed by a string of heart emojis. I stared at that photo for a long time. David looked happy. Genuinely happy. That's what hurt most. Not that he'd left, but that he seemed so much better off without me. I cried for 3 days straight. It was during that dark period that Richard showed up at my door with a bottle of wine and a proposition. I almost didn't answer when the doorbell rang. I was in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, my hair unwashed, tissues scattered around the living room. But I looked through the peephole and saw Richard standing there, and something about his face, the same devastated exhaustion I saw in my own mirror, made me open the door.